Hello, welcome to another edition of the Pace Report. I'm Brian Pace. As you know, here over the last 15 years on the Pace Report, close to 800 episodes, I've had the honor of introducing musicians as well as showcase these new musicians throughout their career. And tonight here on the Pace Report, I'm honored to have had a chance to sit down with vocalist Cyrille Aimée. Now, as you might know, she hails from France, but over the last 10 years, this young lady has not only been able to stay true to her real gypsy roots, as well as incorporate some very contemporary songs into her repertoire. We sat down in between sets to sit down and talk about the great Stephen Sondheim, who she recorded a tribute album to him a couple years ago, which was Grammy-nominated, as well as we sit down and reflect on this new band and also the direction that she's getting ready to move forward with this new music. And we also sit down and reflect on some of her favorite and important musical influences. So sit back, relax, and enjoy highlights of Miss Cyrille Aimée performing live at the famed Birdland Jazz Club here on the Pace Report here in New York City.
Mi sonrisa despierta.
Cyrille, I want to say a couple of things. I told you right after you just performed, you have come a long way from when you first started. And your band, the music that you are recording, and the songs that you're performing, you've expanded your repertoire. How did we get to this part of your career?
It's been a long time. A long time of growing and learning and being inspired and trying stuff out, and and I'm still, this is what I'm doing, still experimenting.
That's good, because as an artist you're supposed to grow, but the thing you're incorporating a lot of, you still incorporated a lot of the gypsy, but also there's standards and there's also modern songs from guys like Stevie Wonder and the Isley Brothers. And I'm wondering, is this part of how the music is going to have to keep forward as far as introducing modern music to the older audience as well as the newer audiences?
Yeah, for me right now I'm mostly focused on writing music, and so that's where I'm headed. And I guess when you're writing music, you get inspired by all your favorite songwriters, which is why Stevie Wonder was in there. And I didn't do any standards in this set, which is it's a step for me, because I built a career on standards, and so I really love feeling more and more confident with my own songs, and with a band like that playing my songs is just, it gives me the confidence that my songs are good because they can make them sound good.
Let's talk about your new record. It's I'll Be Seeing You, and it's you and Michael. You're in a duo setting, and you've done a couple of duo, trio type recordings throughout your career. What is so unique about this recording?
Well, Michael and I have been playing together for 10 years in a band setting, and during the pandemic we were missing playing with other musicians, and I was coming to New York and I said, hey, let's go to the studio and see what happens. And we had never been in the studio, just the two of us, as a duo, and we literally just called some tunes. I taught him one of the songs I wrote, and the whole record is first takes. And there's one second take, and I put both the first and the second. And it's kind of what I wanted to do with this record, was really just show the most raw, natural aspect of who we are as musicians. And two musicians that haven't seen each other in a long time, that just get together in the studio and just call tunes, no arrangements, just seeing what happens. And it's very raw and very imperfect, and I love that, because I feel like today there's a lot of editing, post-editing and filtering, and everything has to be perfect so that it can get posted. And I was doing a lot of teaching during the pandemic, and a lot of my students had this complex of, I'm not ready yet, I'm not ready, waiting to be perfect. And so I kind of wanted to put that out to inspire people who feel like they're not ready and they're waiting to be perfect, and just inspire.
Tell my viewers the songs that you cover on this album.
On the latest one?
Yes.
Like Bye Bye Blackbird, Louisa by Antonio Carlos Jobim, a song the lyrics are written by Pablo Neruda and I put the music to it. It's a poem, Me Gustas Cuando Callas. What else? La Javanaise by Serge Gainsbourg, and a few other standards. Feeling secure again, you're the key. This I see. Smooth under the gentle breeze. Flowing through my mind with these soft escapes. When you're loving me, baby.
you hail from France, and a lot of your songs, you sing in French, and you also sing American. Doing songs in your native language, are you more free, or do you feel more at home at the microphone singing to an audience versus you singing songs in English?
I feel at home making music, no matter what the language. My mother tongue is Spanish, and so yeah, I love singing in Spanish. I love singing in French, and I love singing in English because the vowels are very wide, and they have several different sounds in them. So for singing, it's really nice because French is very petit, small mouth, so you can't do much opening. But yeah, I love every language.
I did some very interesting research on you. I understand that you moved to the Dominican Republic, and that was where you did a lot of jazz singing before you came to the United States. Mm-hmm. Explain how you crafted and molded or started to craft your craft in DR.
Well, I met a pianist there because that's where my mom is from, and so we would go all the time. And I met a jazz pianist there, and I sat in with him on one of his gigs, and I was just, getting into this world, learning about the American songbook, falling in love with the standards, and it, for me, was so cool that a tool like the real book, you could just go into any place, any country, and just say, hey, do you know, take the A train, and just connect with musicians from a whole different culture. And so I moved there, and I started playing around with this pianist all over the island, and we had a lot of gigs because I was basically the only jazz singer on the island.
Wow.
And so yeah, that was the first time that I started working before I came to America.
Now, was it bipolar opposite from when you were singing in France? Because you were singing a lot of gypsy jazz.
Yeah.
How different was it for you?
Well, in France it was very guitar oriented, and then when I met this pianist, it was more like piano, bass, drums.
And do you feel more comfortable in that setting? Because I noticed that you have a United Nations of band members on your band stage, and I noticed that the world music aspect of what you're doing, it brings a whole nother authentic niche to your audience and the music that you sing.
Yeah, I think that's why this band sounds so good, is because of all the different cultures and the different points of views on the music, the different things they have to bring to the music, and yeah, they just bring out the songs, they make the songs alive, and yeah, it inspires me to write more music.
You said that you're teaching. What are some of the things or the fundamentals that you are instilling upon the next generation of musicians?
It's really all about when I teach, I feel like I'm trying to make them unlearn things rather than make them learn things. It's really about remembering why you're doing this in the first place, because it's fun. That's really the main reason. It's fun, and it's play. So I kind of give them tricks and tips to remember to be in the moment and not judge themselves, and kind of like what we were saying with the album I'll Be Seeing, to not seek perfection because it doesn't exist.
Do you think the next generation of musicians, the younger generation that's really getting into Black American music by way of jazz and blues, do you think that they're understanding really the history of the music, but also trying to transform and bring their voice to this next generation of music?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's happening every day. Every day you come across someone that's incredible online. They're just, the internet is amazing for that, is that the kids these days, they just have a school right at their fingertips. And when I was teaching at the Miami University, I couldn't believe the level of these kids. And they don't even know it. They don't even know how good they are.
I want to talk about Stephen Sondheim. We lost him during the pandemic. We lost a lot of great masters and gatekeepers of this music during the last 2 years. And you did a tremendous project which got you a Grammy nod, singing some of Stephen Sondheim's music. Tell me the first time you encountered his music and what he means to you as a performer and what his music means to you.
Wow, you're taking me back. All of this is old for me. The first time I met him, I'm very bad with dates, so
it's okay.
It was 6 years ago, something like that. I did a New York City Encores special, and it was with the Wynton Marsalis Orchestra, and the two female singers were me and Bernadette Peters.
Wow.
So that's how I was introduced to his music. Because in France, we don't grow up on musical theater. And I fell in love with the repertoire, and so I started checking out his tunes and started falling in love with a lot of them, and made a record. And I'm glad that when I was working on the arrangements of this record, I didn't know anything about him. I didn't know how revered he was. I didn't know that you're not supposed to change it, because I changed the heck out of everything. And I wanted, on purpose, I didn't want to know where the songs came from. I didn't want to know who the character was, what was the context, because I wanted the songs to be about me, and I wanted to find the meaning for myself. And so that's why I was able to completely transform every song and make it my own. And he loved it. And he came here to watch me perform the repertoire twice. Sat on the front row at Birdland, yeah. Sat on the front row, was crying. And he was just having, for him, I think it was the first time seeing his tunes be played by a bunch of kids having fun, blowing solos on them, and yeah, he was really, really, really touched.
Why is his legacy so revered? I mean, he's given us a body of work that can never be replicated. I'm talking like West Side Story and Sweeney Todd. I mean, his work is so, it's deep. And in the lexicon of American songwriters and composers, he's like in the top 5. He's up there with Cole Porter.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Why is he so important to the lexicon of American music?
Well, first of all, his music is, there's everything. There's the melody, there's the harmony. It's just so rich. And the crazy thing is, he says he doesn't know anything about jazz, but his music's so intricate. And then his lyrics are they're unique. No one writes like him. No one writes like him. And for a person, for me, who came from the American songbook, discovering Sondheim lyrics was like a whole new universe that opened up. Because it's very modern, it's very contemporary. It talks about real stuff that I could relate to. And there's so many layers to the lyrics that every time I would sing them, I felt like I discovered some new facet about myself. And yeah, it's just very rich.
You recorded an album with Adonis Rose and the New Orleans Jazz Orchestra, and this is a different stretch for you too. Explain to my viewers what it is like singing with a jazz orchestra or a big band, as opposed to working with an ensemble like yours that you have tonight here at Birdland.
Yeah, it's very different. I prefer an ensemble by far than an orchestra, because in the orchestra everything's written. You know, they're reading the ink, and so there's not much space for freedom like we did tonight. You know, tonight was anything goes, and so you're kind of more constrained, and also volume-wise, there's not much you can do because the dynamics are, you know, it's very loud. So I prefer ensemble, but the cool thing about orchestra is the power. There's just a power that is very unique, very rare to be able to be in that setting, you know.
That'll do it again for another edition of the Pace Report. I'm Brian Pace. I'd like to personally congratulate and thank the talented Cyrille Aimée for her time. For more information on her upcoming tour dates and to order her music, please visit her online at CyrilleMusic.com. Also follow Cyrille on social media by way of Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Also, I'd like to personally thank the staff and management at Birdland for their warm hospitality. As always, I can't stress this more than enough. Please like, share, and subscribe to my videos on YouTube and Vimeo, as well as leave comments. Until next time, remember, if it's in the groove, it'll make you move. Till next time, peace.